These are the revelations that changed my life. Number one, again, there'll be 5. I want to keep it to one hand, so none of you guys had to take your shoes off. So you can do this right now with your sales. How many people have a sales message that's out there wandering around somewhere in the cold, lonely world? The big revelation I had was your ad is a little salesman going out into a hostile situation, which is the real word. He's got no backup. You're not there to explain what your little salesman meant. Nobody's going to take what he says and figure it out for themselves. Danger, danger, Will Robinson. How many people remember that? Yeah, good, I'm not alone. So, there are 3 ways right now that you can look at your ad that's out there, your message, whatever your ad is, video sales letter, website, email, print ads, direct mail, whatever you're doing, you want to think about it as you're putting your baby together to send them off to kindergarten for the first day. You want them prepared. In a more advanced way, you want to send them out into a hostile environment, prepared for almost anything. So you want them to be presentable. What that means is the format. You want them in a non-threatening suit. How does your ad look when your prospect sees it? This is pretty simple, but this is why most of the old school ads that you see, or the ads where people follow me and they do their websites or even video sales ads, this is why they have what's called a superscript, which is the little headline above the headline. Then they have a larger headline in that particular format, often a different typeface, a sans serif typeface that is much larger. Then a smaller typeface again for the subhead, and then the body copy. Bullets, spaces between paragraphs, captions on photos. This is part of the presentation. How many people tried to reinvent the way ads are presented when you did your first sales messages? You liars, you all did. That's the way you want to look. You want your ad to look in all formats. You want it to be familiar, so that's not part of the problem of getting your message across, is that you're new in this person's life. You should look familiar. Does it make sense to you? Try to look as familiar as possible. Don't try to be the first time he sees the email with a flashing hand that jumps out of the screen and grabs him by the throat. Don't be that guy. I can't wait till Google can do that too, have real hands jumping out of the screen. So format, can anybody guess what the other part of this? Think about the salesman you've met or salesman you've seen on TV or read about who meet somebody cold and are able to get through to them. What's the next thing that they do besides coming on as like a non-threatening person? What's the next thing they do?
Grab attention.
Close. It's a charm offensive. Charm is a word not often used in advertising. For me, what that meant was acceptable outrageousness or especially spot-on frankness. And that's where my headlines came out. The one-legged golfer, all of those things, the hooks. They seem outrageous, but the people who objected to them were what? Never going to be customers anyway. And the people who did like the headline and go off with it were what? The targeted audience I was going after. So the outrageousness of your ads has to connect with the people you're after. You don't care what anybody else says. Okay? You want them presentable. 2, you want your ad, your little salesman out there in the cold, hostile world, to be packaged right to survive this. You wouldn't send a package across the country without duct tape on it. You're not going to send an ad out there that's going to wind up in spam or an email that's going to wind up in spam filters, an ad that's going to get slapped by Google. What's another bad example? Yeah. A letter is going to get tossed in the trash. When I cut my teeth on direct mail. And one of the best things about the way I was writing direct mail is that I was up against letters from the insurance company saying, new insurance quote on the outside of the envelope. So people didn't even have to open it. This was part of Gary's APOW, BPOW speech. They would give the game away on the outside of the envelope. So I was able to come in, even though I was writing bullets on the outside of the packages, they were each little headline. So it was like, I got to open this to see what this nutcase is talking about here. But we were up against loser ads. So you want to make him armed to the teeth, packaged right to get out there. And finally, you want them to have the street savvy skills, and that would be persuasion. You guys all know AIDA, we call it AIDA. This is the first formula that I found out about, and I used that for years, but this was John Capel's best idea to get going. It was AIDA. Stands for attention, interest, desire, action.